Hey, Colin C. Why you even come in here? Why you want to start trouble, Colin C? Hey, Colin C. Why you even come in here? Why you want? And then you retract your message. Hey, Wiggin, look at this motherfucker, right? I'm trying to make peace. I haven't been on JC's ass. I didn't go up to attack JC the other night either. And JC could have told me, this is what I'm doing, right? And I would have left, right? Now I see what's going on between her and Guitar Che and Vegas chat. You know, Colin C., you're an ignorant motherfucker, okay? And I'm going to prove it right here, all right? Right there, and then you fucking delete your comment. Why are you deleting your comment, Colin, you fucking stupid, drunk Englishman? You want to fucking start a fight with me, Colin? I'll give you a fucking fight, you toothless fucker. Sick of you, Colin. There's nothing to see with you either. You're a stupid fucking drunk. You're a dumb fucker, Colin. You're a chicken shit. Come on, Colin. Click on my fucking link and come on up here, Colin. I fucking dare you. Come on, you toothless fucker. You drunk, stupid fuck. Got a brain in your fucking head. Huh? You want to piss me off right off the start, Colin? There you go, Wiggin. Your fucking friend Colin there is a moron. Listen, Wiggin, I wasn't in your chat. I got home. I caught the last 10 minutes of your broadcast, okay? And then I listened to it. I've been sitting here. That's what I've been doing for the last two. And then you put it private, right? But I caught it. That wasn't me trying to come up on your panel. I didn't post in your chat, and I didn't try to come up on your panel. So somebody's doing that using my name or whatever. You know damn well I know how to unmute my mic, and I would come up on the panel. Serious, Patrick. I'm sitting here, I'm eating a fucking burger. I'm trying to eat my fucking dinner. I'm sick of Colin. You fucking block me and then you come in here, you stupid fuck. Moron. Get a life, Colin. I think you British fucks need your own chat. You're nothing to see, Patrick, New York, according to Colin. Chicken shit motherfucker. You want to see me rant? Colin, I'll knock all the other fucking teeth out of your face. Fucking punk. Jesse. Oh, like you're JC's bodyguard. Life isn't about what we take with us. Homemade burger. Who we are and what we leave behind. Come on, Colin. Come on up in my backstage. Come on up here. Come on. Part of your living legacy.
We are the American Cancer Society making strides against breast cancer.
Chicken shit motherfucker.
Join the #1 breast cancer movement.
You give a bad name to your country, Colin. I'm telling you. You're a dumb motherfucker. I don't care if Rocky Goldman likes you. I don't care if Candy sings you happy birthday every day. You're a punk motherfucker. There he is right there. There's the chicken shit. Click on the link. I want to see you come up here, punk.
You'll find delays on the freeway between the 14th Street Bridge and the 3rd Street Tunnel heading eastbound. And look out for accident activity right now in Laurel on Route 1 north of Cherry Lane and on outbound New York Avenue at Bladensburg Road. Now from GarageRateCare.com to WMAL Stormwatch Sun Forecast.
A gorgeous stretch of weather for this Memorial Day weekend. This evening, some scattered clouds and temperatures by 9 p.m. somewhere between 56 and 62 degrees. We're dry.
You wouldn't even talk to me up on JC's panel. You just want to sit there and be your stupid.
66 and 73 degrees. On Sunday, we're between 69 and 73 degrees. Will be a little warmer in some spots.
You block me and you talk shit, Colin. Makes you a pussy.
I'm 7 News Chief Meteorologist Veronica Johnson in the First Alert Weather Center.
64.
I don't block people and then talk crap on them.
Reagan National in Washington, D.C. I'm Scott Lynn on News.
It's one of the first things I noticed in here, people, what they do. So you're saying that might have been VB in my chat coming in with a fucking bearded lady deal? Because they don't like Shannon? Don't go to Shannon. Don't bother Shannon. Trying to make me think it's somebody from Shannon's. There ain't no steam coming out of my ears, coming out of your ears, you stupid fucker.
877-381-3811, 877-381-3811.
Say goodnight, you dumb fucker.
Fantastic 3-day weekend. Let us not forget Memorial
Go
Day.
cry to
March 4th.
JC.
Obviously, you'll have a day off and you can enjoy yourselves, but take a minute or two to remember all the men and women who died for this country
I know it.
so that we could live the type of lives that we live.
I
today.
just banned the dumb fucker. Fuck you, Colin. Stay the fuck
Just
out of
gonna
my
bring it
chat,
to a
you
point.
punk motherfucker.
What they've died for. I'm not going to get into J.D. Vance's speech today at the Naval Academy, Mr. Producer. We basically said it's time to abandon the foreign policy of the founders for a new foreign policy. I can deal with that at another day and another time. Actually like the man very much. He's a gentleman. He's smart. I don't think he's had exposure to enough other viewpoints. Foreign policy's bottom line is about prudence, not ideology.
Wow.
Not ideology. A lot of great things were done in our foreign policy in the past. A lot. A lot of people are now free. A lot of people's lives were saved. And of course, there were occasions when we had quite poor foreign policy.
And I wasn't in
The
Wiggins'
nature
chat.
of
I wasn't
human
trying to
beings,
go
it's
up
the
on
nature
his
of
panel.
institutions,
That
it's the
wasn't me,
nature of
Wiggin.
a republic. But that's not.
If I wanted, if I was gonna do, I wouldn't do that. You know, I don't do that. That's Gotti and fucking Randy that do that shit.
Yesterday, and by the way, there is a ton to get to.
Other
today. We
people.
will get to all of it. We have a great guest in the second hour, our friend Douglas Murray. But before we do, I hope you'll turn up the volume, sit back and relax. If you're driving your car, just obviously watch the road, but be attentive to what I want to talk about. I know a lot of people are on the road this evening.
Oh,
As you
my neighbor's home.
have your vacation plans and so forth. But I think this is very interesting. You know, I try to do history, the Constitution, law, economics, philosophy in a way that is interesting, in a way that is understandable, because otherwise, what's the point, right? What is the difference, I asked yesterday, between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party? What is the difference, even more fundamental? between conservatives. I don't even want to say liberals anymore because there are very few liberals, leftists, radicals, extremists on the left. You're going to go, oh boy, I already know the answer to this. Do you? Have you actually been exposed to the answer? Probably to some extent if you listen to this program. What makes the difference is your Declaration of Independence. Why? You know, the Declaration of Independence says absolutely nothing that's new. Nothing. Nothing that's new. Unalienable rights, eternal truths, God-given power, sovereignty rather. None of that's new. What was totally new about it wasn't the substance, but its embrace and its application to what was going to be the birth of a new country. That has never happened before, ever. Ever.
Yeah.
And why is that? Why hasn't it ever happened before? Virtually every other country is founded, and every country is founded differently. Some through violence, some gradually, some suddenly. Virtually every other country is founded without a declaration
Sticky.
of philosophical belief and value systems. I can't think of any.
Oh.
Well, you might say Marxism. I'll get to that in a minute. And what is it that this declaration is talking about when it talks about these things, this natural law and natural rights and unalienable rights and eternal law? What is all this? Is it mysticism, as Marx said? What is it? Is it just the terms and the words of a period of time in American history and human history, as Woodrow Wilson said, of no meaning to today? It's the basis, Robert.
I thought of a new clone to make, and it's about Will Durant. And I think Wiggins going to like it when I make it. Everything I watched today when I got home, I got to make a clone of Will Durant. That motherfucker is going to get a dose of his own medicine tonight. He ain't going to like the clone. He's going to come in here with my mother's pick when I get done. You watch. I'll surprise. I'm going to roll my joint first. I just got done eating dinner. Colin can't just say hi. Oh, nothing to see here. That's because you're so fucking drunk you can't see, Colin. You're always entitled. You can't even speak. You can't even spell the word charlatan or reality. I watch you spell the word. I don't know if you're typing or the voice to text picks, and that's in no fucking way. Something ain't right. Something ain't right, Patrick, New York. I'm telling you. I'm going to roll my joint. I'm going to get that going, and then I'm going to make a clone of Will Durant, and you guys are going to laugh when I do it.
Sovereignty belongs to the individual. And sovereignty as a community, as a society, belongs to we the people. The individual and we the people. Well, where does that come from? Who says? Your Declaration of Independence, and even more, the battle for independence, ready for this, was based on the belief that God gives us our liberty, our rights, and more importantly, our power. God. Now, some of you might be saying, look, that's all well and good. You know, I go to church, I go to synagogue. What is this God stuff? We even have people in the society, obviously, who don't believe in God. Or maybe they're agnostic, believe in God, but they're not sure what it means, or they just don't care. That's okay. They can believe whatever they want. I'm talking about how this nation was founded, not what one person may or may not believe. You see, the people who are non-believers, that is, who don't believe in God, they get to come along for the ride. Now, what does that mean, Mark? It's not a put down in any way. This society was set up by people who did believe in God. Now, I'm not here as a rabbi or a pastor or a priest or anything of the sort. I'm not lecturing you about God. I'm telling you about your history. Your history. Some people are more religious than others. That's perfectly fine. I'm not talking about that either. The fundamental basis of this nation's founding was a belief in a sovereign God. And it's through a sovereign God, our sovereign God, we, his children, have sovereignty over government. That an individual has sovereignty. That a community of individuals, a society, we the people have sovereignty, not government. It's not a coincidence that Marxism, which is the greatest threat, that in Islamism, I'll get to that in a minute, to us as an ideology, both within our country and outside our country, not to get too deep into the weeds, or Rousseauism, or Hegelism, or Marxism, that whole cabal of thinking, and I'll get to that in a second. So when you read the Declaration of Independence, it is the most unique pronouncement or declaration of a revolution, truly a revolution, ever. Now, our founders, the vast majority were Christian, not all, but the vast majority. And they had different beliefs within Christianity. So you have the different sects within Christianity. But they didn't have to believe the same way as Christians. And you'd even have to be a Christian to believe in the value system. The nation was founded on Judeo-Christian values and beliefs, fused with an embrace of the Enlightenment. Now, how do I know this? Because they told us. The founders of your country were not bashful about telling us who they were, what they believed, and what they were doing. They told us. Jefferson, who wrote the first draft of the Declaration, that key document, he tells us in a letter, responding to somebody who's inquiring of him near the end of his life, essentially accusing him of plagiarism. None of these ideas are your ideas, you know. And Jefferson said, I never said they were. I never said they were. It was a concise compilation of the views, the beliefs of the people who rose up to found a new nation. It's so unique. Now, again, perhaps you're listening to this program and you're an atheist or so forth. It's okay. But our country was not founded on your beliefs or lack thereof. And you're able to be an atheist in this country because the country...
I've been saying that all along.
On your beliefs or your lack of beliefs. You live in a free country, relatively anyway, thanks to the people who founded it. And it's worth trying to understand what they understood, thanks to the people who founded it. Sovereignty is about power. Who has sovereignty? The ruling class, the government, or the people? Now, sovereignty in the people doesn't mean anarchy, mob rule, majority rule at all times. It means that whatever form of government you construct, whatever form of government you establish, requires the consent of the sovereign, the people. Well, that we human beings sin, knowing full well that we human beings aren't perfect. This is all in the book, if you haven't figured it out by now, on power, but it's very important. And so a government needs to be set up that does several things. That involves the consent of the governed, representative government. People get to vote. But enshrines the principles in the Declaration of Independence. So people get to vote, people get their say, but they cannot steal from you as a group your sovereign authority. That is, your unalienable rights. Now, I hate to do this. I have to take a break. Try and have a mental bookmark, if you will. I'll pick it up. But this is very important because now you're going to soon understand why we're different than the Democrats, or we conservatives are different from the rest of them. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
We're living in dangerous times. Crime's too high. The justice system is failing many of us. And the radicals on the left want to regulate the right to be armed by law-abiding Americans like you. That's why I trust Byrna, B-Y-R-N-A, and their compact launcher, the CL. The Byrna CL is one of the smallest non-lethal pistols in the world, about the size of your smartphone. But don't let the size fool you. It fires 61 caliber kinetic chemical rounds were available at up to 400 feet per second, with 41 joules of stopping power per square inch. You know what that means? You stop the perpetrator cold without deadly force. It's legal in 50 states, no permits, no background checks. Here's the best part: ships directly to your home. Help be prepared to defend yourself and loved ones without the many complexities of a homicide. Made in America with over 80% of its components U.S. sourced and hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Go to Byrna.com. That's Byrna.com. Must be 18. Visit Byrna.com for details.
On 270 northbound at Quince Orchard Road, there is an accident being moved to the right shoulder. Watch for delays there. Delays
I knew it.
continuing from Father
And I made the name, but I gotta
Heads up in
change the
Spotsylvania,
account to
Black
use it.
Road is closed between Catharpia Road and Stewart Road. That due to an accident. 95 is slow southbound from the Beltway to Woodbridge and from the Rappahannock River Bridge towards 17 in Spotsylvania. Early conditions in Loudoun County on
I might have
North
to
Shore
just
Boulevard
make
and
a new
Braddock Road
account.
cleared. All lanes have been reopened. On the interloop of the Georgetown Pike, an accident.
I don't really
reported
want to
there,
do
road
that
moved
yet.
to the right shoulder. Traffic is jammed from the Dulles Toll Road. Now from GarageBoyRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Mostly clear tonight. Lows around.
It's been a miserable week here where I live. Nothing. Been in the 40s, raining, drizzling, wind blowing.
Are you ready to join the
Doesn't stop the birds and the squirrels,
in the
though.
country? Sign up today at makingstrideswalk.org.
What would you give for a child you love?
Well, I wonder if this one is fucking doable.
To help them
Let's
fight
find
critical
out.
illness. Just imagine what you'd do. See, wishes are so powerful. If you can make them real.
Yeah,
Give a
excuse
child
me.
in childhood. Even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align. Because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit Make-A-Wish.
Well, I guess that account doesn't exist.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, millions of kids don't have the supplies they need. Donor Shoes is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. Learn more at donorshoes.org.
Making sense of the headlines, making sense of your world. WMAL's Vince Colonnades.
Thank you for all you do on the radio show.
What a nice call. Thank you very much.
Weekdays, noon to 3. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Hi, I'm Vince Colonnades, host of The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'll give you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories. The Vince Show is redefining news talk with in-depth interviews, live caller interactions, and a front row seat to the most important conversations of the day, every day. The Vince Show and Vince Podcast.
WMAL's Vince Colonnades. Weekdays at noon. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. Making sense of the news.
While serving in Iraq.
That'll make you happy. If it makes you happy.
I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible
Sheryl Crow.
and invisible.
DAV helps veterans with the benefits.
Does it show?
Million veterans every year.
Shows in chat, but no, it doesn't show on my other device. It
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org. Making sense of your money.
The state of the economy. The ability to afford
sucking motherfuckers off. That's what Will Durant is doing.
Weekdays at noon.
the kind of thing I pay attention to. I'm looking at.
News Talk
Now that's funny.
WMAL. Making sense of the news.
The Bigger Pockets Podcast Network is your home for real estate investing. So why real estate? We keep saying
I'll say it again in case he's not listening and nobody wants to run a message, right? Because I know how like people like to go and say shit. That's mostly the fucking idiots at CFF, and New Crew, and what the fuck else. It's Blabber and Bibble Incorporated is what it is. Fucking fighting with that's just exactly what I got accused of. Nobody likes you, Billy. You fight with everybody, Billy. So no, Wigan, I didn't try to panel at your place today. That wasn't me.
Look for fast. F. Face drooping. A. Arm weakness. S. Speech difficulty. T. Time to call 911.
Fucker.
Sudden sound.
Fucker, Wigan.
Fast. Visit strokeassociation.org.
So whatever happened with JC's, I missed it. I tuned out. All right, so it happened last night, and we knew it was going to happen because that's true. That's what Rusty wants to. Rusty thinks she's empowered to control streamers.
More thoroughly after the bottom of the hour, but I want you to think about this. This notion of sovereignty and power. Your First Amendment to the Constitution, adopted after the Constitution was adopted, talks about the free exercise of religion, but also they do not want the establishment of a state religion.
And when I come up on your panel, Wigan, I don't use my laptop.
This belief in unalienable rights and so forth.
There's no windows on this.
For the rights of a human being.
I haven't tried to panel at anybody's using my laptop.
Society, which is what Locke was trying to explain at some great length.
Now, I did double stream.
So I will pull this all together.
Rusty did it once, but that's because they thought you and I were feuding, Wigan. And they do. They like it if I get mad at JC and fucking Trump. That fucking idiot. I don't even like to call him that. I call him Puny Pecker Petros Papadiklis because he's a puny pecker motherfucker. Trump haters. That's all they are. Trump haters.
Many believe that Israel's enemies are America's enemies, and they're right. Christians united for
I know, Patrick. You witness everything, don't you?
organizations with 11 million active members is leading the charge to help Americans on Israel's side.
That's why I couldn't tune in. I can't watch it. I can't. I didn't want to try to panel up there either. I did. And I went up there a second time, and Guitar Jay thought it would be a good idea to put me backstage instead of trying to talk to me because I don't know the guy. So fuck you, Guitar Jay. Fuck motherfucker. You late to the game. Fucker. Ain't nobody jealous of you, Guitar Jay. Besides that, if you listen to Will Durant, it's Wolfie I want, not JC. Fucking ain't right. If I had a choice, if a fucking 20-year-old walked through my door right now and wanted to fucking be in love with me, I wouldn't stop it. As long as I was attracted to her. If I'm not attracted to you, I don't want you touching me. It's that simple. I don't want chlamydia.
The threats were delivered over social media earlier today. A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration.
Wiggin, you're not matchmaker. I don't need you to match me up. If anybody in these chats really, really wanted to they'd come here. Just come to Governor. That goes for you, DA. If you really, really want to fist fight with me and beat me up, come here and kick my ass on my own turf. That'd be the best statement you could make. But you want to play grab ass, and even Rusty stuck up for Billy won't meet DA in New York. She asked me that. Why? Fuck you, you fucking blabbering bitch. I ain't afraid of Rusty. Never was. I know what she's all about. She's that big fat fucking whore on the end of that fucking 800 numbers they come out with way back in the 80s. And she ain't no fucking beauty queen.
Every single one of us can make the stars align. Because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit Make-A-Wish.
That's what he did over here, JT. Yeah, he put his picture of your daughter up there. That's what he does to try to make us mad. He probably learned that trick from that idiot bitch he's working for. You suck, Rusty. Nobody goes to your chats. You got all them chats. Hey girl got her chat, and Lady Venom's got her. The list fucking goes on and on and on, and nobody's watching you. Except to see what a fucking fool you are.
No more complications until type 1 becomes type none.
Support JDRF's life-changing research and one day.
Come up here and take me on, Rusty. Just you and I. Come on.
Join us now.
I dare you. I don't really want you up here, to be honest with you, because you're an idiot. All right. There's a reason they have thumbs up and thumbs down. Okay. You don't have a right to get mad at me if I don't like your content. 1 minute you're nice, and the next minute you're not so nice. It just tells me you have shit for a personal life. I have people in my life. In fact, I spent time with them this morning. That's why I wasn't in chat. I had things to do on a Friday. Better things to do than come in here and deal with the likes of fucking Gotti and JT and Ziggy. They all think they're cool. They're trolling you, Wiggin. They're trying to come in your backstage, wanting to porn bomb you by using my name. That's what they do. So no, that wasn't me. If it was a clandestine thing on your part and you did it to fucking rile them up, I'm sorry for busting you on that. But I don't think so. I think you actually thought it was me trying to come up on your panel. But it wasn't.
Two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptext.rex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic.
So you like my new clone?
Starlight Children's Foundation brightens the lives of sick kids like my son Finn, who was born with congenital heart disease. Learn more about Starlight by visiting starlight.org today.
Making sense of your world.
Thank you for what you do.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
You give me hope.
Making sense of the news. Know the news. O'Connor with Larry O'Connor. 5 to 9 a.m. on WMAL.
We are family. I got all my sisters in me. Bum, 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 bum.
3811.
What I'm discussing here is a core aspect of my new book on power, which will come out on July 29th. You can pre-order your copy now. It's already started. Amazon has to discount it, but it will be discounted much more than it already is. And you will receive the benefit of the larger discount until the book is released. That's how they operate. but I consider it probably the most important book I've ever written. I want to get back to this point. What do we stand for? What did our framers and our founders stand for? So this issue of sovereignty, is directly linked to power. And so as I was saying, the individual is sovereign. The collective of individuals, the society, we the people are the sovereigns. No government is legitimate that's not a government with our consent, with representation, hence the revolution. Hence my objection over and over again, aggressively against unelected judges and what they're doing to our country. They do it without our consent. Now that said, by that, the framers did not mean that we just take a vote every time and the majority wins. Why? Why? Because even though you and I have our own sovereignty, and we collectively have the sovereignty of the civil society, that's what we are, man is not perfect, quite the contrary. And in fact, history has demonstrated for sure that factions and mobs and even a majority can be very evil, that there is a darker side to mankind. It's in your Bible, it's in the Torah. There's a darker side to mankind. And so we are to use our God-given ability to reason to try and figure out the best form of self-control that will be government that ensures the fullest extent of our individual and collective sovereignty in a manner that doesn't destroy itself. Does that make sense, Mr. Producer? This is me speaking through my book, describing what is meant and what is intended here. And so, God is sovereign. That sovereign authority is passed on to his children, we the people, you as an individual. Unalienable rights, the right to life and liberty, the pursuit of happiness. What was meant by the pursuit of happiness there meant to fulfill yourself, basically. And along with this sovereignty and this power comes liberty and rights. Now, I can't do the whole book here in 15 minutes. So in the book, I get into what do we mean by liberty and what do we mean by rights? And I think you'll find that fascinating, but not for tonight. And so a government that is the best way to ensure the maximum amount of sovereignty each of us have as individuals and as a group of people. This is where the Enlightenment kicks in. The Enlightenment. Even before the Enlightenment, Aristotle, even before Aristotle, Plato, but Aristotle primarily, talked about power. Not specifically, but enough for us to understand what he was talking about. And then his thoughts about power generally were more sort of massaged, become more tangible when we get to John Locke and Montesquieu. John Locke was the most important philosopher during the Revolutionary period. Montesquieu was the most important philosopher during the Constitutional period. He's referenced in the Federalist Papers. How do we know that? Again, they told us. They weren't the only ones, but they were important. So what did they look at? What did they look at when they created this Declaration and this Constitution? They looked at everything I just told you and more. Everything I just told you more. So remarkable was the American Revolution. So remarkable is the Declaration. So remarkable is the Constitution. No group of people have ever created anything like it. None. None. So, it's issue of power. Who exercises it? When do they exercise? As you can see just from my, really barely touched the subject, but you can see just from my little taste, giving you a little taste of this, that these were great men who did great things, who restrained themselves when they founded this nation. They didn't empower themselves. They didn't empower a certain class of people. They weren't even thinking about a certain class of people. Almost all of them had been farmers. Almost all of them worked the land themselves. They were real people. The people who participated in the revolution. Paul Revere was a blacksmith. I can go down the list. Serious people. When you look at the Declaration and it talks about natural rights and natural law, what does all that mean? It means there's certain eternal truths. What's an eternal truth? It's not man-made. Where does it come from? It comes from God. Those of you who go to church and go to synagogue or go to your mosques or whatever you do, why do you do that? Why do you do it? Because you know there's something greater than you. And why do we pretend there's not when it comes to creating a nation or a government? And so there's certain eternal truths, right from wrong, good from evil, the golden rule is good, killing is bad, the 10 Commandments. These things are known throughout our country. They're known throughout every country. Now, that doesn't mean that they're honored. It doesn't mean that they're embraced. You have evil regimes, you have evil people, and so forth and so on. But they're known to them. They just reject them. This is what's meant by right reason. Not just reason, but right reason. Reasoning the right way. This is what's meant by eternal truths. Something that is known. In some cases intuitively, in some cases by experience, in some cases some other way, but it's known by every person. Even the person who is a mass murderer knows what he's doing is wrong, assuming he's not mentally ill, knows what he's doing is wrong, but he doesn't care. Again, unless they have, they're psychos. And so these are eternal truths. There are other eternal truths that men and women, but I'll use the word men like we used to, men have a dark side. Men have a bright side, but they also have a dark side. It's the nature of imperfect human beings who sin. People are ambitious. People can be greedy. And go down the list of negative things that you know about other people, perhaps yourself, or people in history. God didn't create perfect people. You have sovereignty. People in a society of sovereignty, but that doesn't mean we're perfect. Doesn't mean we're always good. And so here on earth, we try and create institutions that nurture and recognize our human sovereignty, but at the same time, protect us one from the other from the darker side of humanity. Making sense so far, Mr. Producer? This is all in the book, in plain English. Why does it matter? It matters. It goes to the core of every damn thing that's going on in this country and in the world. Now, there's a lot more to this, but I don't have all night. So I want to move on to the other side, okay? So understand, I'm stipulating right now. You read the book, you'll know a lot more about this. There are many tributaries to what I'm talking about here. I hope it piques your interest, but it's something I want to convey regardless. What about the other side? The Democrat Party, the left, the Marxists, the rest. They don't start at the same premise that you and I start at. They don't start with the same premise that the founders of our country did. They literally reject the Judeo-Christian values and belief system. They won't admit it. Some of them go to church and synagogue. I don't care what they admit. I'm explaining. It's not a matter of whether you go to church or synagogue or do anything else. It's a matter of whether you embrace the whole notion of what it is that God has done for his people. So let me explain. Let me try it this way. Woodrow Wilson spent a lifetime when he was an academic, then he became president of Princeton and obviously president of the United States. His impact was significant in the intellectual and academic world, even much more significant when he became president of the United States. He rejected the Declaration of Independence. If you've read any of my books, I've quoted him. He rejected them, the Declaration of Independence, over and over and over again. He mocked the Declaration. He denounced the Declaration. In sum, what Woodrow Wilson said, and there were many, I'm just using him as an example, but an important example. He said, look, we can't be bound by the beliefs and the attitudes and the mindset of the 1700s and these men who met at the Second Continent, Philadelphia, and come up with this document, the Declaration, or the men who went back to the same place, Independence Hall, and came up with this Constitution and so forth and so on. What does that have to do with us, he says? They had the right to write those documents, to determine what they believed and try and impose their will on the nation, and so do we. We have the right to say no, that we don't accept the nature or even the text of what they said. He said, look at the Declaration. All those fancy words at the beginning. That's not the important part of the Declaration, he says. It's the second part where they lay out their specific allegations against the crown. That's what we should focus on. What's all this stuff about unalienable rights, about natural law, natural right? What is all this stuff about providence? What is this? And in this, listen carefully, he was regurgitating Karl Marx. Karl Marx called essentially the Declaration. He didn't call the Declaration directly, but the people who think like this, and he was talking about America, as embracing mysticism, blinding them to the modern world. All this stuff about God and God's children and sovereignty passed on to the individual and the people, that's archaic. Doesn't make any sense. And it obstructs the ability of modern man to think for himself, tied to this mysticism. We have a right to create the kind of society we want, right now, right here. More when I return.
Mark Levin.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Hi, I'm Vince Gallane's host of The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'll give you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories. The Vince Show is redefining news talk with in-depth interviews, live caller interactions, and a front row seat to the most important conversations of the day, every day. The Vince Show and Vince Podcast.
WMAL's Vince Gallane's weekdays at noon. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
In the district in Northwest, a portion of 27th Street is closed between Broad Branch Road and Military Road due to a fallen tree in the roadway and an accident in Southwest on Chesapeake Street at Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. In Loudoun County, watch out for an accident on Belmont Ridge Road, just north of Croson Lane. And in Woodbridge, a fallen tree reported in the roadway on Old Bridge Road at Tenyard Hill Road. Still some delays on northbound 95 from Courthouse Road to Woodbridge, and some delays from Lorton in towards Newington, and southbound very slow from the Fairfax County Parkway towards 123 in Woodbridge. Now from GarageRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Mostly clear tonight, lows around 50, sunny Saturday, highs near 70 degrees.
Clarity and context for a complex world.
I'm going to be far more thorough and specific than ever before.
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. You can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align, because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit Make-A-Wish at wish.org.
School absences are often due to the absence of necessary resources, but when Communities in Schools is present, students are connected to the support they need to show up ready to learn. Visit communitiesInschools.org. Being present matters.
The Cumulus Podcast Network is pile driving the competition.
I'm parked right next to the TV truck, and it's just Steve Austin's head looking at me. I take a picture, sent it to Steve. He hit me back with the WTF kid.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform. Happy kids heal faster. That's why Starlight Children's Foundation delivers happiness through gaming, toy deliveries, and more to hospitals across the country. Learn more at starlight.org.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see. Sorting out a mental health concern takes professional diagnosis and treatment. If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, call 1-800-662-HELP for free and confidential information and treatment referral. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support.
All right,
Revolution.
I gotta plug this
Reuters
fucker in,
Institute says Newsmax
and I'm gonna
is
troll.
one of the top 12 news brands in America. Even President Trump says it's terrific. 40 million Americans go to Newsmax, and its audience grew 50% since the same time last year. Millions really are making the switch to Newsmax. If you want to be a Newsmax share owner, call your advisor or get more info at newsmaxinvest.com. Stand with Newsmax today for a strong America. This communication is for informational purposes only and shall not be intended to or shall not constitute any offer to buy or sell securities, nor shall there be any sale of securities in any jurisdiction in which such offer, solicitation, or sale would be unlawful.
Making sense of your world.
I can't believe this.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
And I am so with you.
Making sense of the news. Breaking news and the inside story on 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Go through the commercials, so we have at least 3 minutes here. And I won't do this justice, but you'll get a taste of what I'm talking about. So for Woodrow Wilson, for Bernie Sanders, for Hakeem Jeffries, for all of them, the principles of the founding are irrelevant. This is why they all talk about the fundamental transformation of America, fundamental transformation away from the founding to something else. And that something else is an ideology that I think where there were overlaps between Rousseau and Hegel and Marx. Rousseau first, then Hegel, and Marx. And I'm not going to get into them in any great detail here. I did get into them in great detail in prior books, but no point in doing that now. And essentially, whether it's materialism or historicism or thisism or thatism, the bottom line is you've got to destroy the existing society, stop focusing on individual sovereignty. And Rousseau talked about the individual being fulfilled most comprehensively through the state. Hegel did much of the same thing, but with really a much different process in mind. And then, of course, we have Marx, everything material and economic. He basically steals from Hegel and then puts his own touch on it. Again, it's not important to understand every aspect of it. I will get into it. You will see some of it in the book related to Marx, but let me go on. And so they believe, as the modern progressives of the late 1800s, early 1900s, what I call American Marxists, because they're the progeny really of Hegel and Marx, but mostly Marx. They read Marx, they like Marx, they spread the Marxism, the ideology of Marxism through different avenues. They say, no. The world begins today. We're going to rejigger man. We're going to rejigger society. None of this talk about sovereignty. If anybody has sovereignty, it's the ruling class. If anybody has sovereignty, it's quote unquote the Politburo. If anybody has sovereignty, you get the point. It turns our entire founding on its head. That's why you never hear the Democrats or the media or the left speak as I spoke in the first half hour of this hour. And they keep talking about rights through government, liberty through government, equality and now equity through government, and increasingly centralized government where the states have no say, where the people have no say, through international organizations, where we literally convey our governing sovereignty to international organizations where we have no individual sovereignty. I'll be right back.
Making sense of your world.
Talk radio is where I get all of my information.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Searching HVAC near here.
Right here, ma'am. How can we help?
Wow, nobody local? Huh.
Wait, what? We are an HVAC company literally in your neighborhood. Why is she not seeing us?
Just all the big chains. Well, it is what it is.
What in the... Can you not see us?
Nope, they can't see you because you're buried deep in the list of local HVAC providers. You are invisible online. Introducing Cumulus Boost. Get a boost, get found, get on the map. Learn more at cumulusboost.com.
How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, professional race car driver here with cab driver Artie.
Professional cab driver.
Sorry, professional cab driver Artie. Drinking responsibly is knowing your limits. If you are over yours, ask Artie or someone like Artie to get you home safely. To learn more about drinking responsibly, go to beforeyoudrink.org.
So, you think I could take your number 26 Crown Royal race car for a spin?
Did you get out of there?
Be a champion. Drink responsibly. This message has been brought to you by the Century Council.
Hi, I'm Vince Galladay, host of The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'll give you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories. The Vince Show is redefining news talk with in-depth interviews, live caller interactions, and a front row seat to the most important conversations of the day, every day. The Vince Show and Vince Podcast.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese. Weekdays at noon. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news. WMAL FM Woodbridge, Washington. Cumulus Media Station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 7. Good evening. I'm Scott Lynn. The latest on the private plane that went down in a San Diego military housing neighborhood early Thursday morning.
NTSB investigator Dan Baker says the Cessna crashed into high-tension power lines while on its way to land at the Montgomery Gibbs Executive Airport. The automated system that provides airport weather conditions to pilots was not operating at the time. Air traffic control gave the pilot the weather at the Miramar Air Station, 4 miles from the airport.
Question is, was the weather at Miramar reliable for the pilot to make a decision or for the approach? And right now, I don't know. That's going to need to be compared to the actual weather conditions to find out how close they are.
Some of the runway lights were also out of service, and Baker says the plane did not have a flight data recorder. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
At the White House today, the president speaking on his threat of tariffs, 27%, 25% on electronic products built by companies who also make smartphones and not just Apple.
It would be more. It would be also Samsung and anybody that makes that product. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair. So anybody that makes that product, and that'll start on, I guess, the end of June.
Mr. Trump wants the phones made in the States also 50% proposed on EU goods as talks with many nations in Europe are not going well.
I'm not looking for a deal. I mean, we've set the deal. It's at 50%. But again, there's no tariff if they build that plant here.
A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration's effort to ban Harvard from enrolling international students. The school asked for a temporary restraining order. It was granted.
Well, the judge says there'll essentially be 2 hearings this week. There's going to be one on Tuesday and one on Thursday, and they're going to get into this matter throughout the week. Harvard calling the Trump administration's revocation of its certification to enroll international students both unlawful and unwarranted. University President Alan Garber said in an open letter that it
Now what? Fuckers.
cap President Trump's powers.
Fox's Molly Line reporting after several violent incidents involving large groups of teens in D.C.'s Navy Yard, the nearby wharf development wants to be sure there won't be trouble over the long Memorial Day weekend.
D.C. Police Chief Pamela Smith says the wharf, which is private property, will impose a juvenile curfew.
From 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. each evening, beginning today
and continuing until Tuesday at 5 a.m.
Anyone under the age of 18 must be accompanied by a parent, guardian, or authorized adult over 21 years old, unless they are attending an organized event or dinner.
And Smith says teens who refuse to leave the wharf may be arrested. Matt Coates on WMAL and WMAL.com.
Ahead of the Memorial Day weekend with travel on the mind of many, Reagan National ranked in the top 10 of worst airports as far as flight disruptions. Dulles, by the way, was 4th best with only an 18+% disruption rate last month. The research was done by AirHelp, a passenger rights company. Traffic and weather are next.
We are the American Cancer Society making strides against breast cancer. Are you ready to join the #1 breast cancer movement in the country? Sign up today at makingstrideswalk.org.
Hi, I'm Vince Colonnese, host of The Vince Show, and Vince...
We are the American Cancer Society making strides against breast cancer. Are you ready to join the #1 breast cancer movement in the country? Sign up today at makingstrideswalk.org.
Searching for an inside look at the people, stories, and passion that fuel the state of soccer in America? The United States Soccer Federation will be launching the all-new U.S. Soccer Podcast. Episodes will go beyond the field with players, coaches, and legends to
We are the American Cancer Society making strides against breast cancer. Are you ready to join the #1 breast cancer movement in the country? Sign up today at makingstrideswalk.org.
7:05, here's the latest from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Slowing traffic still on the Baltimore-Washington Parkway northbound between Greenbelt Road and 198 and southbound is and the outer loop is slow from Telegraph Road to the Wilson Bridge. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch and forecast.
A cool evening as the winds start to settle down. We've got some scattered clouds out there still. Temperatures this evening between 56 and 62 degrees by 9 p.m. And then by first thing Saturday, mainly clear and cool. We'll start with light winds and temperatures between 50 and 55 degrees. Expect a breeze out of the northwest for your afternoon. Wind gusts of around 25 miles per hour will be partly cloudy with high temperatures between 66 and 73 degrees. From 7 News, Chief Meteorologist Veronica Johnson in the First Alert Weather Center.
Currently 63 degrees. In Haymarket, Virginia, 62 degrees. Your partly cloudy skies in Durwood, Maryland, 63 degrees at Reagan National in Washington, D.C. as well. I'm Scott Lynn on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Mark Levin.
Broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. So let me elucidate just a little longer on the Democrats' side. And remember, this is very, very surface level. There's much more in the book on power, but I'm trying to give you a taste for it. This is only one little corner of it, too, but it's a very important idea that we need to understand. And the reason I decided to get into this is because when I was watching TV yesterday, Republicans, hosts, kept saying the Democrats don't know what they stand for. They're out there, you know, they're fighting with each other. That is a very superficial view of what's taking place. They know what they stand for, and they know what they don't stand for, and they do not stand for our founding principles. They may say they do. They may pretend that they're very upset when you challenge them, but they're two completely different wavelengths, which is my point. And so like Wilson and the others, they rejected the founding. They rejected the Declaration. They rejected the basis for the nation. And they reject the Constitution. Woodrow Wilson attacked it. He attacked the whole idea of separation of powers. His various writings, he was a little schizophrenic. First, he argued for an all-powerful presidency, and then he settled on an all-powerful judiciary. Why? Because the judiciary is unaffected by elections. Or constraint of we the people. Not so the president. And so an all-powerful judiciary, an all-powerful administrative state, which is also what they came up with, which is what we're struggling with today. That's why understanding this is so damn important. You have nothing even close to a republic, let alone a constitutional republic. And we live in a post-constitutional period in many respects. I've been talking about this for some time. So the Democrats, and by the Democrats, I don't mean Frank and Sally and Joe who work for a living, who are the Democrat Party and who love our country. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the masterminds, self-appointed. I'm talking about the media, self-appointed masterminds in the media, self-appointed political, individuals who think they should be running the country. And they keep talking about nationalizing programs, centralizing programs. You hear Bernie Sanders. You hear AOC. There's never any talk about individual sovereignty. There's never any talk about the civil society. They reject it all. And so for them, your liberties and rights, again, I haven't really dug into this, but it's very thoroughly discussed in the book. Your liberty and rights don't come from your individual sovereignty in God. They come from government. I've been referring to it now for decades.
Interrupting Parkers.
It is a small fraction of the overall population of we the people. And they have no idea what we think or what we feel or what we believe. They try and manipulate us and coerce us and control our thought processes. another section of the book. So their goal is to control us, not to represent us. That's why they oppose free speech to such an extent, academic freedom to such an extent. That's why they embraced wokeism, which is the new aspect of applying forehead, that sort of thing. And so the Democrat Party is a party, an American Marxist party. It's tailored to, customized for the American culture. And it has succeeded in that. And again, for them, Rousseau, Hegel, Marx. Rousseau, autocracy. Hegel, fascism, which is obviously part of autocracy. And for Marx, his own form of effectively fascism, communism. And when you look at Marxism, a complete and utter failure with 100 million deaths. I don't know how many more experiments.
Oh, I'm getting sick of this fucker going in and out like this. What the fuck are they doing?
It is
it's sickening.
A talking point you hear throughout our society now.
Fucking trying to listen to somebody and they fucking cut it off.
And it is the basis for the modern day Democrat Party. They talk about spending. They talk about redistribution of wealth. They talk about oligarchies, billionaires. They talk about the fundamental transformation of America. And in 2020, when the riots were taking place and thereafter, they were trashing the Constitution. The men who wrote the Constitution, they were trashing the founding of America. The entire thing was under attack. Still is in our schools. Still is. That's the mentality, a complete rejection of the founding. When you listen to Schumer and Jeffries and the rest of them, it's important to keep all this in mind. Now, again, if you didn't catch it all, or it doesn't all easily digest in a period of an hour, I get it. You'll have the book. I want to encourage you to grab it. This is a great weekend to do it. You can give it for Father's Day. You won't have the book in hand, but you can tell your father, your grandfather, your husband, and so forth that this is what's coming. At the same time, you'll get the discount, the biggest discount that they provide once the book is released. That's what I want to encourage you to do, to read it so we can engage each other and engage what I call our enemy and have a better understanding than the people on TV and radio who talk about, oh, the Democrats are in a state of confusion. They're in the... Ladies and gentlemen, that is a respite. That is a short period of time. Their designs in this country are evil, and they're not going to give up. Pure Talk is my wireless company, a veteran-led company. Believes every man and woman who has faithfully served this country deserves to proudly fly an American flag that was made in America. I'm very excited by this. You're going to see the working together of two sponsors. Two patriotic sponsors. And that's why Pure Talk is on a mission to give an allegiance flag, the highest quality American flag, period, to 1,000 U.S. veterans in time for Memorial Day, but even beyond, other patriotic holidays. So please switch your cell phone service to Pure Talk today. Know that you're supporting a company that will be providing these high quality flags to deserving veterans. You'll get the best technology that's out there for your calls. And in many cases, you'll pay half of what you're paying now. With plans from just $25 a month for unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data, you can enjoy America's most dependable 5G network, cutting your cell phone bill in many cases in half. The average Pure Talk family saves over $1,000 a year. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword Mark Levin. It's all within your power to fix this for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, with a patriotic company. Again, dial pound 250, say the keyword Mark Levin. Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will get you switched hassle-free in as little as 10 minutes. It's simple. Again, dial pound 250, say Mark Levin, switch to a wireless company that supports our vets and supports everybody else. It's a patriotic company. Switch to Pure Talk. Yes, we'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS. Call Civic Tax Relief for free information now. Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
Just call 800-841-0908. 800-841-0908. 800-841-0908.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns,
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Has your home been affected by severe storms? At St. Joseph's Roofing, we're proud to be Northern Virginia's leading choice for reliable and professional roofing services. With over 3 decades of experience, our team specializes in storm damage restoration, providing a comprehensive and seamless solution for homeowners in need. We partner with trusted public adjusters to ensure every aspect of the process is managed efficiently. Starting with complimentary inspections, we assess the damage and work closely with your insurance company to ensure that your claim is taken care of. Don't wait. Trust your home with the saints who truly care. St. Joseph's Roofing. Call us at 703-716-7663. That's 703-716-7663, or visit sjroof.com. St. Joseph's Roofing, the better way to get a roof.
St. Joseph's Roofing. Put your faith in us. sjroof.com.
Appliance manufacturers are raising their prices soon, making now your last chance to save big. Luckily, Bray & Scarf has your back with a massive Memorial Day sale. Just another reason Bray beats big. We offer next day delivery on hundreds of appliances with online delivery day tracking, and we install when we deliver. The big box stores make you wait for installation on another day. Don't want to deliver? We offer fast, free in-store pickup. The big box stores simply can't compete. For big hassles and headaches, the big box stores have you covered. For appliances made easy, the answer is Bray & Scarf.
The Bray & Scarf Memorial Day sale is going on now. Save up to 35% on select GE profile and cafe appliances. And save on in-stock GE refrigerators and best-selling washers and dryers. Hurry, this is the last major sale to beat the manufacturer price increases. Visit any of Bray & Scarf's convenient locations or shop online at brayandscarf.com, where it doesn't cost more to get more.
Hey, it's Vince from my favorite restaurant, Bourbon Boulevard. They're now serving both their delicious brunch and lunch menus 7 days a week. That makes Bourbon Boulevard the perfect spot for business meetings, brunch, or lunch with the family or friends any day of the week. Check out Bourbon Boulevard online at bbcbar.com.
The right to be armed by law-abiding Americans like you. That's why I trust Byrna, B-Y-R-N-A, and their compact launcher, the CL. The Byrna CL is one of the smallest non-lethal pistols in the world. Not the size of your smartphone. But don't let the size fool you. It fires 61 caliber kinetic chemical rounds were available at up to 400 feet per second with 41 joules of stopping power per square inch. You know what that means? You stop the perpetrator cold without deadly force. It's legal in 50 states, no permits, no background checks. Here's the best part. It ships directly to your home. Help be prepared to defend yourself and loved ones without the many complexities of a homicide. Made in America with over 80% of its components U.S. sourced and hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Go to Byrna.com. That's Byrna.com. Must be 18. Visit Byrna.com for details.
Making sense of your world.
Thank you for your clear insight.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
This is a major wake-up call.
Making sense of the news. WMAL, more than just politics, because laughter is the best medicine. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
It's always a pleasure to have our friend Douglas Murray on the program. Really a great guy, and really a civil libertarian. Very man who believes in humanity. I'd like to think I do as well. Welcome, Douglas. First of all, there are platforms I even agree with that seem to get things wrong, Douglas. Like, for instance, if Israel decides to take out Iran's nukes, I just heard, on its own, because there's no deal, that there's a deal it doesn't agree with, then Israel will be dragging the United States into war. What do you make of that?
It's strange, Mark, because like you, I've heard this for some 20 years now. Israel's allies all know, as Israel knows, that the thing most likely to destabilize the world in our century would be a nuclear-armed Iran, where the Ayatollahs who've driven Iran into the ground since the revolution in 1979 had hold of the world's most genocidal weaponry, and of course a regime which uses the most genocidal rhetoric. Everybody knows that if they got hold of a nuclear weapon, not just the Middle East, but the whole world will be destabilized. The whole Middle East will start to nuke up in no seconds flat the moment it happened. And yet it's always presented as if it is Israel's determination to prevent the mullahs getting nuclear bombs that is the threat to world peace. And I've heard this for years now, and it's as untrue today as it always has been.
It amazes me. We were attacked in this country. Obviously, on 9/11, we were attacked before, we've been attacked after. Maybe people think that this gives them some kind of comfort that if we control Israel, quote unquote, that somehow we'll control the Islamists. It doesn't work that way, as you point out. In other words, their wars against Israel, the United States, the West. They want to destroy the West. Isn't that right?
Well, yes, and I mean every single one of the mouthpieces, official and unofficial, in this country, in the United States of America, all the mouthpieces of Iran all say this. It's not like we have to go hunting for their intention. Whether it's a student group at Columbia University that says it wants to destroy Israel, but also to, quote, eradicate Western civilization. Yes, eradicate Western civilization. But they always say it, just as the Ayatollah Khomeini, again last week, responding to President Trump's visit to the Middle East, said what he had to say against the president and leading chants of death to America. I mean, sure, they chant death to Israel, but they always chant death to America as well. And I'm always bewildered by the number of people who think it's sort of hard to tell exactly what the Ayatollah wants. But he does it every week. This is what he's done and his regime has done for 46 years.
I don't think these people take 9/11 seriously. I don't. It's the same mentality. It's the same ideology. It's the same mission. You point out that it's not like they're hiding it. No, they're proud of it. And so this 9/11 occurs. Thousands of Americans are slaughtered. They act like Israel's the problem. Israel had nothing to do with that. And by the way, Douglas, when we decided to take on Al-Qaeda and ISIS and so forth, did we ask Israel their opinion? Did we ask Europe's opinion? Did we ask anybody their opinion, or did we just take care of business?
Right. And by the way, I mean, not just America that takes care of business quite rightly when America needs to take care of business. Every sensible country, even some pretty non-sensible ones like France, when Paris was attacked in 2015 and people were massacred at the Bataclan Theatre and in the stadium outside of Paris by suicide bombers, President Hollande, a left-wing socialist French president, didn't go around asking everyone if he had permission to bomb ISIS in Syria and Iraq. He did it. He got some allies together and they bombed the hell out of ISIS and stopped ISIS from being able to carry out attacks like that. And everybody knew that was France's right to do that because they wanted to stop citizens being murdered in the center of Paris and other French cities. And it's so bizarre. Every nation rightly has a survival instinct. And that includes knowing better than anyone else how to protect your people. And the Israeli government always prioritize, of course, the safety of the people of Israel, because that's their job. That's what they're the government to do. But it is so strange in so much of the West to hear the criticism when it's Hamas that is being taken out, not ISIS, or the Ayatollahs that are doing genocidal rhetoric, seeking genocidal bombs. It's for some reason the world's attention always turns on Israel and looks at it as the aggressor, even when it is the victim of the genocidal attacks and the genocidal rhetoric.
You have as always, a tremendous article in the New York Post yesterday, a column. DC killings show how Americans are being incited to kill Jews by anti-Israel propaganda. Can you, for those who don't get the New York Post and so forth, can you kind of summarize your point there? Because I thought it was very important.
Well, yes. I mean, we saw something pretty horrific on the streets of our capital this week. The assassination in cold blood of two people leaving a Jewish museum in the center of Washington, D.C. And the gunman, the killer, shouting, "Free, free Palestine," as he reloaded his gun and shot the female victim to death, along with her fiancé. And that chant is very telling, because it's the same chant that Americans have had to put up with in major cities for the last 19 months. And one of the things that's very important about the murders that happened on the streets of D.C. On Wednesday night, one of the extraordinary things about it is that the culprit was not an Islamist. He was not somebody who was even Muslim, and he certainly wasn't from the Middle East, probably couldn't have pointed to it on a map. But he had been radicalized by the movement, the anti-Israel, the anti-Western, anti-American movement that has been fed and watered and nurtured in the last 19 months. And the fact that he was still shouting these slogans as the DC police handcuffed him should be a reminder to people that when we talk about radicalization, left in this country is perfectly capable of radicalizing people in front of our very eyes. Just look at much of the mainstream media in the days before this appalling cold-blooded assassination of two young people. The media was pushing around a lie from the United Nations, that the United Nations rapporteur himself ended up having to withdraw, that there were going to be 14,000 Gazan babies murdered in the next 48 hours unless the world acted. They lied and lied about this as they lie about so many other things. The UN removes the report, but they've put the lie out into the world. And what do you expect at some level if you keep whipping people up into these most base hatreds, these conspiracy theories, which we now hear coming from the right as well as from the left? When this happens and you say, we have to do something must be done, then yes, amazingly enough, you get crazy and wicked people like the culprits who went and shot these two young people in D.C. this week. This is radicalization in America.
Douglas Murray's book is On Democracies and Death Cults, Israel and the Future of Civilization. You can grab a copy right now on Amazon. We're going to keep our friend over the break. There's more to discuss. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Erica, an English major at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Dr. Larry Arnn with a Constitution Minute.
The human soul is made to learn, and the highest things of life are the best things to learn. One of these, it turns out, is the way we govern ourselves, and one of the best examples of that is the Constitution of the United States. It explains what our government should look like and how it should function to best protect our rights. It was created to give us the freedom to make choices about the way we wish to live. Unfortunately, most colleges and universities today fail to teach our Constitution. When they do, they often denigrate it. This is dangerous because it is impossible to preserve our liberty if we don't understand where it comes from and how to protect it. Having a proper civics education is essential to preserving our freedom.
To learn more and get a free pocket Constitution, visit constitutionminute.com.
This Constitution Minute was furnished by Hillsdale College.
WMAL traffic. This update's got Alexandria dealing with jammed traffic on the outer loop of the Beltway's local lanes between Telegraph Road and the Woodrow Wilson Memorial Bridge. Also in Prince George's County, Greenbelt is below speed on the BW Parkway northbound. Moderate off-and-on traffic's been reported between Greenbelt Road and 198. South Laurel is below speed on the southbound stretch of the BW between the Anne Arundel and Prince George's County line as you approach Powder Mill Road with light congestion there. I'm Dr. Gavin Montgomery. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Storm Watch 7 forecast.
Mostly clear tonight, lows around 50. Sunny Saturday, highs near 70 degrees.
We are the American Cancer Society making strides against breast cancer. Are you ready to join the #1 breast cancer movement in the country? Sign up today at makingstrideswalk.org.
Your phone has a lot of apps, but how many of them help you make sense of your world? The new WMAL app gives you the latest headlines, perspective from the voices you trust, and weather info to keep you in the know, all without having to remember yet another password.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Stream your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app.
Thank you.
Get the WMAL app today on Google Play or the Apple App Store, and stay connected.
Hi, I'm Vince Colonnese, host of The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'll give you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories. The Vince Show is redefining news talk with in-depth interviews, live caller interactions, and a front row seat to the most important conversations of the day, every day. The Vince Show and Vince Podcast.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon. News Talk 105.9. WMAL, making sense of the news. Making sense of your money.
The state of the economy, the ability to afford your life. That's what people want.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon.
The kind of thing I pay attention to, I'm looking at.
News Talk 105.9. WMAL, making sense of the news. Making sense of your world.
Common sense. Let's get back to common sense.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon.
Now that should give you a lot of cause for hope.
News Talk 105.9. WMAL, making sense of the news.
Searching for an inside look at the people, stories, and passion that fuel the state of soccer in America? The United States Soccer Federation will be launching the all-new U.S. Soccer Podcast. Episodes will go beyond the field with players, coaches, and legends to bring you honest conversations and untold stories. This is where soccer will come to life. The U.S. Soccer Podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platforms.
How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke. When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST, F, face drooping, A, arm weakness, S, speech difficulty, T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, millions of kids don't have the supplies they need. Donor Shoes is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. Learn more at donorshoes.org.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
You know, we've talked a lot about the impact of eating too much red meat on your physical health. But a new study out of Harvard School of Public Health found that eating too much processed red meat was linked to a higher likelihood of developing dementia. We're talking about bacon, bologna, hot dogs, things like that. Researchers we asked about this said the outcome is likely due to the high amounts of salt, heme iron, nitrates, and other harmful additives that are used for processing. Inflammation also likely plays a role here. Now, if you want to cut back on the amount of meat you eat, processed red meats are a great place to start. Non-processed red meats can be good, poultry better, fish would be best. For a few meals every week, you might also just try swapping out animal proteins for other sources of protein, tofu, nuts, legumes. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Douglas Murray, his book is on democracy and democracies and death cults, Israel and the future of civilization. Israel and the future of civilization. Now, we've touched on this, but it always is worth repeating and elaborating on, Douglas. You mean by that what?
Well, I mean that everything is at stake, depending on whether people outside of the Middle East as well as inside it decide to side with the democracy that is fighting a war against the death cult, or decide to side with the death cult. In the Middle East itself, there are countries that are trying to align with Israel. They've realized that it is much better for them and their people to be on the side of the democracy in the Middle East, on the side of Israel. There are other countries, principally Iran, that we were talking about before the break, but also, I'd argue, Qatar, that have decided to play a game where they back the death cult. But the same divide occurs in America. The same divide occurs on our streets here. And as we were saying just before the break, just consider the number of young people in America who all polls show are being indoctrinated into support of a death cult, into support of Hamas. And every single time there is something we can say with certainty, which is that if you are on the side of Israel, you're also on the side of America. You're on the side of the West. And if you're on the side against Israel, every single time you will be shown to be somebody who is also anti-American and anti-Western. We mentioned just before the break the atrocity in Washington, D.C. this week. When you look at the social media posts of Yaron, the young man who was murdered on the streets along with his fiancée, if you look at his social media posts, he talks not just about Israel and about the Middle East and the war there, but of his deep love for America and his gratitude for America. Look at the posts linked to his killer, and you'll see the killer calling for death to America. He brought death to two beautiful young people this week in Washington, D.C., but he also wished death on the whole of America. And this is a constant. Every anti-Israel protest in this country, whether it is on the streets of the U.S. Capitol or on an American elite university, they never celebrate America. They wave the flags of Hamas and Hezbollah and the Palestinian Authority and so on. They never fly an American flag. I actually, when I was researching my book on democracies and death cults, one of the young people I had the good fortune to interview in America was a student at Columbia University who served in the American Armed Forces, who went back to university after doing his service for this country. And he described how one day he decided to go into the center of the university flying the American flag, and he was attacked by the anti-Israel protesters. And that he said to me, what is it that a flag I fought for and I lost my comrades fighting for is a flag that people are trying to stop me putting up in a campus in the United States of America, the flag of this country.
It really is just unbelievable. Now we have billions and billions of dollars flowing into this country from a number of countries, but primarily, top of the list is Qatar. Qatar is a terror state. Qatar has funded Hamas. Qatar has funded the Muslim Brotherhood. It basically is the Muslim Brotherhood. It also has given protection to the leadership of Hamas as well as the Taliban and is working with Iran. Why do we tolerate this? We're making deals with them. Why do we tolerate their money coming into our country and destroying our colleges and universities and taking over big chunks of our culture?
You know, Mark, I have to say, you are one of the very few people who has been asking this question and demanding answers for it. So few people in America have. People talk about lobby groups, this, and foreign funding, this. There have been billions of dollars that have been pumped into the United States of America in recent years by Qatar, which is a country of a few 100,000 people with a sort of slave class that they import with second-class citizenship rights to wait on them and to serve them. And they have pumped, as you said, hatred and ideology around the world. They funded Hamas. They host Hamas. They give sanctuary to Hamas, just as the Qataris did to al-Qaeda figures in the 1990s. But they are allowed to fund institution after institution, university after university. They pay hundreds of millions of dollars a year for lobbying in Washington, D.C. And that, I'm afraid, is part of the answer, as you know, is that the Qataris have compromised so many people in America, including people in Washington, D.C. They splurge money around like a hose pipe, and they get what they want for it, which is a kind of cover, which is that too few people are willing to call them out. And I've said since the beginning of the war in the Middle East, on October the 7th, 2023, on the beginning of this round of war, I've always said the same thing, that if an American president had gone to Qatar on the 8th of October and said, you hand over all the hostages now, you hand over the leadership of Hamas.
I hate to do this, but
war of the last 19 months,
card players are
been fought.
coming over.
Been done, but
So I got to go.
Because
I'm going to have company here in a few minutes.
So many people in Washington.
He already drove by once.
As some kind of friends to this country, and it isn't. But if this country wanted to
card game at 8 o'clock.
It could. It doesn't even have to do anything.
He said they'd be here at 8 o'clock.
America with its
So I'm playing poker tonight with my cousin and friends.
and they would change their
So I got to
games
go.
in a heartbeat. And
But I'll be back later.
To me, as it is to you, as to why that hasn't been done.
And you know what, Douglas? No matter how much information I put
See you on the flip side.
shows I do on